Welcome back, you silent assassins. You walking withdrawals. You beautiful ghosts who stopped haunting and started living. They finally figured it out, didn't they? The worst part isn't that you stopped caring, it's that you stopped pretending you ever did. Let me tell you what's keeping them up. At 3 a.m., scrolling through old conversations, analyzing timestamps, studying the exact moment you went cold. It's not anger they're searching for. Anger they could handle. Anger means there's still fire, still feeling, still a chance. What they found instead was something infinitely worse. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just empty space where their name used to echo. You see, there's a specific kind of terror that comes with being genuinely forgotten. Not blocked, not cursed, not even hated, just erased from the registry of things that matter. They keep texting, don't they? Those little breadcrumb messages disguised as casual check-ins, hoping to trigger some reaction, some proof that you're still thinking about them. But you're not angry, you're not bitter, you're not planning revenge, you're not even indifferent in the dramatic way. You simply moved on like they were a chapter in a book. You returned to the library 3 years ago. And that's what's eating them alive right now. Let's talk about what really happened here. Because they're spinning this narrative, trying to convince themselves and everyone else that you're playing games. They're telling people you're being petty, you're trying to hurt them, you're doing this for attention. But deep down in the parts of themselves they won't admit exist, they know the truth. You're not performing coldness. You're genuinely living a life where they don't exist. You're not checking if they viewed your story. You're not posting things hoping they'll see. You're not carefully crafting your happiness to make them jealous. You're just happy, and they're not part of the equation anymore, not even as a variable. Here's what they didn't understand when they took you for granted. There's a difference between someone who's mad at you and someone who's done with you. Mad people still engage. They argue, they react, they give you the satisfaction of knowing you still matter. But done people, they don't give you anything, not even the energy of hate. You became a stranger to them, not through effort, but through genuine emotional evolution. And that's the part that's destroying them, because it means they can't undo it, can't win you back, can't manipulate their way into relevance. The door isn't locked. It simply doesn't exist anymore. They're experiencing something truly poetic right now. The realization that indifference is the only thing worse than hate. Hatred means you still occupy space in someone's world, even if it's negative space. It's still real estate. But indifference means you've been evicted, deleted, removed from the property entirely. They're standing outside a building that was demolished months ago, still knocking on air, still shouting at foundations that were poured over. And every time they reach out, every time they try to reopen communication, they're confronted with the same reality. You're polite, you're civil, you're kind, even, but you're unavailable, emotionally, energetically, spiritually unavailable. Do you know what's happening in their group chats right now? They're analyzing your every move, trying to decode your social media posts, searching for hidden messages directed at them. Did you see what they posted? Is that about me? Why are they so happy? Who's making them laugh like that? They're running forensic analysis on your life, trying to find evidence of their impact, and coming up empty. Because you're not posting for them, you're not living for them, you're not even living in spite of them. You're just living, and they're realizing they're not even part of the story anymore. Not the villain, not the lesson, not even a footnote, just absent. Let me tell you what's really twisting the knife for them, though. It's not that you found someone better. It's that you found yourself better. You evolved, you healed. You became a version of yourself that doesn't need what they were offering. They're watching you thrive, not out of revenge, but out of genuine growth. And it's forcing them to confront something absolutely devastating. Maybe you didn't need them. Maybe you were always capable of this happiness, this peace, this power. Maybe they weren't the blessing they convinced themselves they were. Maybe they were just a delay, a detour, a lesson in what not to accept. And that realization, it's shattering their entire self-perception. Here's the psychology they're dealing with right now, and it's brutal. When someone hates you, it validates your importance in their life. It confirms you mattered enough to hurt them. But when someone is genuinely over you, it invalidates your entire narrative. Suddenly, all those times you thought you had power, all those moments you believed they couldn't live without you, all that confident swagger about being irreplaceable, it all crumbles. Because here they are very much living without you, thriving even, and you're forced to face the possibility that maybe you weren't as special as you thought. Maybe your absence was easier to fill than your presence was to tolerate. They're going through the stages right now: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, but they're stuck. They can't reach acceptance. Because acceptance would mean admitting you're actually gone, that the version of you who cared, who fought, who tried, who gave chances, that person died and isn't coming back. They keep looking for resurrection signs, hoping your coldness is just a phase, a test, a game. But every interaction, every polite but distant response, every time you treat them like an acquaintance, it reinforces the same crushing truth. You're not coming back because there's nothing to come back to. You didn't leave a relationship, you graduated from one. Let's go deeper into what they're feeling, because this is where it gets truly delicious. They're experiencing a unique type of grief, the grief of losing someone who's still alive and functioning perfectly fine without them. It's like watching your funeral from a distance, realizing nobody's crying the way you thought they would. They're seeing you at parties laughing, hearing about your success, your new connections, your growth, and none of it includes them, not even as a memory you mention, not even as a story you tell. You've effectively written them out of your narrative, and they're experiencing the existential dread of being a deleted character. Remember when they had access to you, when they could text at 2 a.m. and you'd respond, when they could show up unannounced and you'd make time, when they could hurt you and you'd forgive. They're mourning that version of you, the one who was available, accessible, emotionally invested. But here's what's destroying them. That version didn't die because of something they did one time. It died because of everything they didn't do repeatedly. You didn't wake up one day and decide to stop caring. It was a slow erosion, a gradual realization, a quiet death of investment. And now they're facing the consequences not through your anger, but through your absence. They're trying to provoke you right now, aren't they? Posting things they know you'll see, saying things through mutual friends, dating people who look like you, trying desperately to get any reaction. Because any reaction would mean you still care, would mean they still have power, would mean this indifference is performative. But you're not reacting. You're not even pretending not to see. You genuinely don't care what they do, who they're with, what they say. And that's the final nail. They can't manipulate someone who's genuinely detached. They can't hurt someone who's genuinely healed. Can't control someone who's genuinely free. Here's what they're understanding now. Probably for the first time in their life, actions have permanent consequences. They thought they could treat you however they wanted, and you'd always be there. Thought your love, your patience, your forgiveness was infinite. They tested boundaries, pushed limits, took advantage, and you let them for a while. Because you're not cruel, you give chances, you believe in growth. But there was a final straw. They didn't see coming, didn't recognize, didn't think existed. And when you reached it, you didn't explode, you didn't rage, you didn't give them the dramatic exit. They could paint themselves as victims of you, just quietly, internally, completely checked out. Now they're dealing with something called emotional object permanence, or rather the lack of it. When you're gone, you're actually gone. You're not sitting around thinking about them, processing them, healing from them. You processed, you healed, you moved on, And now, when they're not in front of you, they literally don't exist in your consciousness. It's like they were a song you used to know all the words to, but now when it plays, you can't even remember why you liked it. This isn't closure. This is something more final than closure. This is complete emotional neutrality, the kind that can't be reversed because it's not based on hurt. It's based on evolution. They're probably telling people you're cold now, heartless, different, not the person they knew. And you know what? They're right. You're not that person anymore, because that person was exhausted from caring about people who didn't care back. That person was depleted from giving to people who only took. That person was broken from loving people who only knew how to damage. But this version of you, this one learned the most powerful lesson in human psychology. You can't lose what you're not attached to, can't be hurt by what doesn't matter, can't be controlled by what you don't need. You became untouchable, not through walls, but through genuine indifference. Let me tell you what's happening in their mind right now, because this is psychological warfare they didn't know existed. Every time they see you unbothered, it chips away at their self-image. Every time they hear you're doing well without them, it challenges their narrative. Every time they realize you're not even thinking about them, it creates cognitive dissonance they can't resolve. Because they need to believe they mattered. They need to believe their presence was significant, their absence impactful. But you're living proof that neither was true, that they were replaceable, forgettable, survivable. And that's an identity crisis they're not equipped to handle. They're experiencing what psychologists call the devaluation reversal. When they had you, they devalued you, took you for granted, treated your presence like a given. Now that you're gone, they're overvaluing what they lost, romanticizing what you had, rewriting history to paint themselves as victims of your coldness. But here's the thing, you're not rewriting anything. You remember exactly what happened, exactly how you were treated, exactly why you left. You're just not angry about it anymore. Anger requires caring, and you don't. You've reached a place of pure objective truth. They weren't good for you. You're better without them. Case closed. This is where it gets really interesting, because they're starting to notice patterns. Every person who genuinely leaves them does the same thing. Eventually stops responding, stops caring, stops being affected. And they're beginning to suspect. Maybe the problem isn't that everyone else is cold. Maybe the problem is they don't know how to value people until they're gone. But that level of self-reflection requires humility. They don't possess accountability. They refuse to accept. So instead, they'll keep blaming you, keep painting you as the villain, keep telling themselves you changed, when the truth is, you just stopped tolerating who they were. And that distinction, it's everything. You know what's beautiful about where you are right now? You're not trying to prove anything. You're not posting cryptic quotes, hoping they'll see. You're not making your happiness loud, hoping they'll hear. You're just genuinely living a life that doesn't include them. Not as an enemy, not as a memory, not even as a lesson learned and moved past. They're completely irrelevant. And irrelevance is the most powerful form of revenge that doesn't require any effort. You're not doing this to them, you're doing this for you. And the fact that it destroys them, that's just a side effect of your growth. They're starting to panic now because the window is closing. There was a time when they could have apologized, explained, changed, and maybe, just maybe, you would have given another chance. But that time has passed, not because you're bitter, but because you're different. You want different things, value different qualities, require different energy. The version of you they knew, the one who accepted breadcrumbs, who overlooked red flags, who believed potential over proof, that version graduated, evolved, transcended. And this new version doesn't have space for people who need 100 chances to do what should have been done naturally, being decent. Here's what they'll never understand about indifference. It's not the opposite of love. Hate is. Indifference is the absence of love, the void that remains when caring dies. Hate still requires emotional investment, still needs energy, still proves you matter. But indifference proves you don't. Not anymore. Not ever again. They're experiencing the difference between being left and being outgrown, being blocked and being forgotten, being hated and being nothing, and nothing. That's what's breaking them, slowly, quietly, completely. Because how do you fight nothing? How do you win back someone who isn't fighting you? They're just not including you. They're probably cycling through old messages right now, reading conversations, trying to pinpoint where it went wrong. Was it that argument, that broken promise, the time they chose someone else over you? But here's what they're missing. It wasn't one thing. It was everything, accumulated, compressed, concentrated, until it reached critical mass. You didn't leave because of the last straw. You left because you finally saw the whole haystack for what it was. A pile of disappointments held together by your hope. And once you saw it clearly, leaving wasn't emotional. It was logical, not a breakdown, but a breakthrough. Not rage, but clarity. Not hate, but indifference. Pure, simple, complete. Now they're dealing with replacement anxiety, watching you build connections, form bonds, create relationships with people who actually value you. And they're seeing in real time what they could have had if they'd just been better. Every person who treats you right is a mirror showing them their failures. Every moment you laugh with someone else is evidence. They were replaceable every time you thrive. Without them is proof they were never necessary. And that's a level of obsolescence. The ego can't handle being proven unnecessary to someone's happiness, being demonstrated as subtractable from someone's life equation, with the answer still coming out positive. Let's talk about the text they're sending right now, the casual, "Hey, how are you?" The nostalgic, "Remember when?" The guilt-trippy, "You really changed." The aggressive, "You think you're better than me now." They're throwing everything at the wall, hoping something sticks. Hoping something triggers you back into caring, back into engaging, back into giving them the power they once had. But you're not biting. You're responding when appropriate. Being kind but boundaried, polite but distant. You're treating them exactly how you'd treat any acquaintance, and that's what's killing them. Being downgraded from main character to background extra in your story. They're learning a brutal lesson right now, one that most people never learn until it's too late. People don't leave because you hurt them. Once people leave because you hurt them consistently, and they finally love themselves more than they loved you. You didn't leave in anger. You left in clarity. You didn't leave to hurt them. You left to save yourself. And now they're experiencing the aftermath, not of your revenge, but of your recovery, not of your bitterness, but of your growth. They're casualties of your evolution, collateral damage of your healing witnesses to what happens when someone finally chooses themselves. Here's the part that's truly destroying them, though. It's not that you're over them, it's that you're over them genuinely. There's no performative healing, no fake it till you make it, no secretly still caring but pretending not to. You actually moved on, actually rebuilt, actually became someone who doesn't need what they offered. And they can feel it in your energy, your tone, your responses, or lack thereof. There's no anger to diffuse, no hurt to exploit, no guilt to manipulate, just emptiness where they used to exist. And emptiness can't be negotiated with, can't be charmed, can't be manipulated back into caring. They're probably going through your social media right now, analyzing every post, every picture, every interaction, trying to find evidence that you're not really over it, that this is all an act. But what they're finding is worse than anything they imagined. Genuine happiness, genuine peace, genuine growth. You're not posting revenge content. You're not subtweeting. You're not doing any of the things people do when they're still emotionally invested. You're just living, and they're not part of that life. Not in the pictures, not in the stories, not in the memories you're making. They've been edited out, deleted, removed, and the footage runs smoothly without them. You know what they're realizing right now that haunts them most. All those times you begged for basic decency, basic respect, basic effort. Those weren't dramatic exaggerations or unreasonable demands. You were literally asking for the bare minimum, and they couldn't even give you that. And now, someone else is giving you the maximum, treating you how you deserved all along. And they're watching from the sidelines, seeing what they had, seeing what they lost, seeing what they'll never have again. Because you don't go backwards, don't downgrade, don't settle for less, once you've experienced more. They had their chance. Actually, they had multiple chances, and they wasted every single one. Here's the psychology that's breaking them down right now. Cognitive dissonance on steroids. They need to believe they're good people who made mistakes. But your indifference suggests something darker, that maybe they weren't mistaken. They were consistent. That maybe it wasn't about circumstances or timing or bad luck. Maybe it was about character, about values, about who they fundamentally are. And that's an identity crisis that can't be resolved through your forgiveness, through your anger, through anything you give them, because you're giving them nothing. You're forcing them to sit with themselves, to face themselves, to be themselves, without using you as a mirror or shield or excuse. They're starting to notice patterns in their own life now. Other people leaving, other connections fading, other relationships failing. And they're beginning to suspect, just beginning, that maybe everyone else isn't the problem. Maybe the common denominator is them. But that thought, it's too heavy, too painful, too accountability-laden, so they push it away. Replace it with easier narratives. You changed. People are ungrateful. Nobody appreciates them. But late at night, when the distractions fade, when they're alone with their thoughts, your indifference whispers the truth they don't want to hear. Maybe they're the architect of their own loneliness. Maybe they destroyed something real. Maybe they'll never find it again. Let me tell you what your indifference represents to them. It's not just losing you, it's losing the version of themselves they believed they were. When you cared about them, it validated their self-image, confirmed they were worthy, lovable, valuable. But when you stopped caring, genuinely, stopped not performing, stopped not playing games, stopped, it invalidated everything. It suggested maybe they're not as great as they thought. Maybe their presence isn't a gift. Maybe their absence isn't a loss. And that existential questioning, it's more painful than any revenge you could have plotted because it comes from within, triggered by your external absence, but sustained by their internal doubt. Look who's still standing. Welcome back, you beautiful architects of your own resurrection. You silent storms that refuse to break. You souls who took every betrayal like a baptism and came out glowing. Welcome back to the only place that tells you what the universe has been screaming in their ears while they pretended not to hear it. You see, something interesting happened, didn't it? Something you didn't have to lift a finger for, something you didn't have to beg for, something you didn't have to force. They chose sides. Yeah, they made their little alliance, picked their team, stood shoulder to shoulder with the very person who tried to destroy you, and they smiled while doing it. They laughed at your pain, co-signed your enemy's lies, validated every twisted narrative, and then had the audacity to act like they were neutral, like they were just keeping the peace, like they weren't actively participating in your assassination. But here's the part they didn't calculate. Here's the variable they left out of their cute little equation. Here's the force they forgot existed. The universe doesn't forget. Cosmic law doesn't take vacations. Spiritual mathematics doesn't round down for convenience. And now, oh now, you're watching something unfold that no amount of money, no amount of fake apologies, no amount of backtracking can stop. Their lives are falling apart. Not in some vague, maybe, someday kind of way. No, we're talking catastrophic structural collapse. We're talking relationships detonating, finances evaporating, mental health spiraling, opportunities vanishing, respect crumbling, and a silence so loud it's deafening because nobody wants to be near them anymore. You didn't curse them, you didn't hex them, you didn't even speak their name with malice. You just existed in your truth, kept walking forward, kept your head up, and let the universe do what it does best. Balance the scales with brutal precision. They thought siding with your enemy was strategic, didn't they? They thought it was the safe bet, the winning team, the path of least resistance. They looked at you isolated, struggling, fighting alone, and they calculated that you were the losing side. They saw your enemy with their charm, their network, their resources, their convincing lies, and they thought that's where the power lives. So they chose, consciously, deliberately, cruelly. They chose to believe the smear campaign, chose to ignore your character, chose to abandon you when you needed solidarity the most, chose to laugh with the person who was actively destroying you. And they did it with such confidence, such arrogance, such certainty that they were making the smart move. They forgot one tiny detail, though. They forgot that the universe has a ledger, and every single choice gets recorded. Every betrayal gets time-stamped. Every moment of cowardice gets filed, and the bill always comes due. Let me tell you what's happening to them right now, in real time, while you're healing, while you're growing, while you're becoming something they'll never comprehend. Their relationships are imploding, not because of anything you did, but because betrayal is a frequency, and once you operate on it, it attracts more betrayal. The same people they sided with are now turning on them. Shocking, right? The person who lied about you is now lying about them. The person who manipulated you is now manipulating them. They're experiencing firsthand what they watched happen to you. Except this time, there's no one to warn them, no one to protect them, because they burned that bridge when they chose wrong. Their finances are taking hits they can't explain. Opportunities they were sure about suddenly falling through. Promotions vanishing. Business deals collapsing. Money flowing out faster than it comes in. And they're confused. They're panicking. They're asking, why is this happening to me? Never once connecting it to the fact that they celebrated your downfall. Their mental peace is gone, replaced by anxiety they can't shake, guilt they can't suppress, paranoia they can't medicate away. They're losing sleep, losing focus, losing the plot entirely because somewhere deep in their soul they know they chose wrong. They know they backed the wrong horse. They know they participated in something that violated cosmic law, and now they're paying in ways that hit deeper than money, deeper than status. They're paying in peace, in joy, in the ability to look at themselves without flinching. Their reputation is quietly crumbling. Not loud, not public, but in whispers, in group chats they're not in invitations that stop coming, in respect that slowly evaporates. People are starting to see them differently, starting to sense something off about them, starting to distance themselves without even knowing why. It's like the universe is broadcasting a frequency that says, this one is marked, this one chose wrong, this one cannot be trusted, and people are picking up on it subconsciously. You want to know the sickest part? You're not even thinking about them anymore. You're not obsessing, not plotting revenge, not losing sleep over their betrayal. You've moved on, you've healed, you've elevated to a frequency where they don't even register as a blip on your radar anymore. But they're thinking about you constantly, compulsively, obsessively. They're checking your page, watching your moves, monitoring your growth. And every time they see you thriving, it cuts deeper because they realize they were wrong about you. They realize you weren't the problem. They realize they hitched their wagon to a sinking ship, and now they're drowning. They're seeing you unbothered, glowing, successful, surrounded by real ones, and it's destroying them from the inside because they chose the opposite. They chose chaos. They chose lies. They chose temporary comfort over lasting integrity. and now they're reaping exactly what they sowed. Cosmic justice isn't some mystical fairy tale. It's not some abstract concept that maybe happens if you're lucky. It's a law as real as gravity, as inevitable as entropy, as precise as mathematics. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And when you choose to side with someone's destroyer, when you participate in someone's character assassination, when you validate lies and cruelty, the universe registers that frequency and matches it back to you multiplied. They thought they were getting away with it because the consequences weren't immediate, because life went on normally for a while, because you didn't retaliate publicly. But cosmic justice doesn't operate on human timelines. It operates on precision timing designed for maximum impact. It waits until they feel safe, until they think they got away with it, until they've built something they value, and then it dismantles everything systematically, thoroughly, mercilessly. You see, the universe didn't protect them because they violated a fundamental spiritual law. They turned their back on truth to side with lies. They abandoned integrity to embrace convenience. They chose cruelty over compassion. And in that moment they marked themselves, not by you, not by any external force, but by their own choice, by their own frequency, by their own alignment with destruction. And now that same destruction is visiting them, sitting at their table, sleeping in their bed, whispering in their ear at 3 in the morning when they can't sleep. They're experiencing firsthand what happens when you bet against someone who has truth on their side, when you laugh at someone who has the universe as their advocate, when you mock someone who walks in alignment even when it costs them everything. You didn't need to defend yourself. You didn't need to prove anything. You didn't need to fight back. You just needed to stand in your truth and let cosmic law handle the rest. They're watching their world crumble in slow motion, and they can't stop it. Because you can't fight the universe. You can't negotiate with cosmic law. You can't charm your way out of spiritual consequences. They tried, though. Oh, they tried. They tried to reverse it. Tried to apologize quietly. Tried to backtrack. Tried to act like they were always on your side. But it's too late. The frequency has been set. The choice has been made. The record has been filed. They sealed their fate the moment they sided with your enemy, the moment they laughed at your pain, the moment they validated lies they knew were lies. And now they're learning a lesson that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. When you side with someone's destroyer, you become complicit in that destruction. And the universe treats accomplices the same way it treats architects. No mercy, no exceptions, no escape. Let's talk about what they're really losing, though. Because it's not just material things. It's not just relationships, or money, or opportunities. They're losing something far more valuable. They're losing their integrity, their self-respect, their ability to trust their own judgment. Every time they look in the mirror, they see someone who chose wrong, someone who betrayed innocence, someone who laughed with the villain. And that's a stain that doesn't wash off. A weight that doesn't lift, a mark that doesn't fade. They thought they were playing it smart, but they were actually gambling with their soul, and now they're bankrupt in ways money can't fix. They're losing peace, losing joy, losing the ability to experience genuine connection because they know deep down they're capable of betrayal. They know they'll abandon people when it's convenient. They know their loyalty is conditional and shallow. People around them are starting to sense it too, starting to keep their distance, starting to build walls, because energy doesn't lie, and betrayal has a smell. They can't figure out why their friendships feel hollow now, why conversations feel forced, why nobody trusts them with real vulnerability anymore. It's because everyone can sense it. Everyone can feel that they're not safe, that they'll switch sides when the wind changes, that they'll throw anyone under the bus if it benefits them. And now they're isolated, ironically, ending up exactly where they left you. Except when you were isolated, you were being refined, you were being protected, you were being prepared for elevation. Their isolation is different. It's consequence. It's rejection. It's the universe saying, you don't get to stand in the crowd anymore because you violated trust on a cosmic level. Their enemy, the one they sided with, is watching all this too, and guess what? They're distancing themselves from them now. Because users don't respect the people they use. Manipulators don't value the people they manipulate. And liars don't trust the people who believe their lies. Your enemy looked at them and saw exactly what they are. Weak, easily swayed, disloyal, opportunistic, and now that they've served their purpose, they're being discarded like trash. Poetic, isn't it? They betrayed you to align with someone who has now betrayed them. They chose the liar over the truth teller, and now they're experiencing what lies feel like when they're pointed in their direction. They chose the manipulator over the authentic, and now they're being manipulated in ways they can't even detect. They chose temporary alliance over lasting integrity, and now they have neither the alliance nor the integrity. You want to know what your role in all this was? Nothing. You didn't orchestrate their downfall. You didn't pray for their destruction. You didn't spend nights plotting revenge. You did something far more powerful. You healed. You grew. You elevated. You maintained your integrity even when it cost you relationships. You stayed true even when lies seemed more convenient. You stood alone in your truth when crowds gathered around falsehood. And that alignment, that frequency, that commitment to truth is what activated cosmic protection. Not because you're special in some mystical way, but because you aligned yourself with universal law, with truth, with integrity. And the universe protects that alignment fiercely. Anyone who attacks someone walking in truth is essentially attacking truth itself. And truth always defends itself, always balances the scales, always restores order. They're learning right now that you can't cheat spiritual law. You can't manipulate cosmic justice. You can't lie to the universe. They thought they could participate in your destruction and walk away clean. But the universe doesn't work that way. Every betrayal has a receipt. Every laugh at someone's pain has a recording. Every moment of complicity and cruelty has a timestamp. And the bill always comes with interest. They're paying now in relationships that feel empty, in anxiety that won't leave, in opportunities that slip through their fingers, in respect that crumbles quietly, in peace that has completely vanished. And the most brutal part? They know why it's happening. Deep down, they know exactly why their life is falling apart. They know they chose wrong. They know they sided with darkness against light, and that knowledge is eating them alive because they can't undo it. They can't take it back. They can't reverse the frequency they aligned with. Meanwhile, you're over here, glowing, thriving, surrounded by real ones, experiencing opportunities they can't explain, relationships that feel genuine, peace that feels earned. Not because you're luckier than them, not because you're more talented than them, but because you paid your dues in integrity. You stayed aligned when it was hard. You chose truth when lies were easier. And the universe rewards that every single time. They're watching you rise, and it's killing them because they realize they could have been part of your story. They could have stood beside you. They could have witnessed your transformation up close, but they chose to laugh from the sidelines instead. And now they're stuck watching from a distance, excluded from the very elevation they mocked, witnessing the very success they didn't believe in. And it's destroying them because they know they had a chance and they blew it. Cosmic justice doesn't need your participation. It doesn't need your anger. It doesn't need your revenge. It just needs your alignment with truth, your commitment to integrity, your willingness to stand alone if necessary. And once you have that, once you maintain that frequency, regardless of who stands with you or against you, the universe handles the rest with a precision that will take your breath away. You don't need to defend yourself to people who sided with your enemy. You don't need to explain yourself to people who believed lies about you. You don't need to convince people who chose to misunderstand you. You just need to keep walking, keep growing, keep aligning with truth, and watch how life handles the people who chose wrong. They're falling apart right now, and it's not your fault. It's not your curse. It's not your revenge. It's cosmic law, operating exactly as it's designed to operate. They chose to align with destruction, so destruction came to visit them. They chose to laugh at pain, so pain came to educate them. They chose to side with lies, so lies turned on them. They chose to abandon someone walking in truth, so truth abandoned them. Simple mathematics, spiritual physics, universal law, doing what it always does. Balancing scales, restoring order, protecting those who protect truth. And you didn't have to lift a finger. You didn't have to say a word. You didn't have to do anything except stand in your truth and let the universe be your advocate, your defender, your warrior. You see, when you align with truth, when you maintain integrity regardless of cost, when you stand in authenticity even when it isolates you, you're not standing alone. You're standing with every law that governs existence, every force that maintains balance, every frequency that protects order. And those forces don't play, they don't negotiate, they don't show mercy to those who violate their principles. They watched what happened to you. They recorded every laugh, every betrayal, every moment those people sided with your enemy, and now they're executing justice with a precision that seems almost orchestrated. Their life falling apart isn't random. It's not coincidence. It's not just bad luck. It's the universe saying you chose wrong, and here's your education. Here's your reminder that cosmic law exists. Here's your proof that you can't side against truth without consequences. And the beauty of it all? You're not even celebrating their downfall. You're not rubbing it in, not posting about it, not gossiping about their struggles, because you've evolved past that frequency. You've grown beyond the need for revenge. You've elevated to a place where their consequences are just noise in the background of your ascension. You're too busy building, too busy healing, too busy becoming the version of yourself that makes their betrayal look like the best thing that ever happened to you. Because in a way it was. Their betrayal forced you to stand alone and discover you didn't need them. Their abandonment forced you to find strength you didn't know you had. Their choice to side with your enemy forced you to become your own army. And now you're unstoppable, untouchable, unbreakable, while they're barely holding themselves together. They thought they were making a power move when they sided with your enemy, but they were actually signing their own collapse order. They thought they were joining the winning team, but they were actually boarding a sinking ship. They thought they were choosing safety, but they were actually choosing spiritual bankruptcy. And now they're paying the price while you're collecting the reward for staying true, for standing alone, for maintaining integrity when it would have been easier to compromise. Cosmic justice is real, not as some abstract concept, not as some maybe someday possibility, but as an active force operating in real time, balancing scales with mathematical precision, restoring order with ruthless efficiency, protecting those who align with truth with fierce devotion. So to everyone watching who sided with your enemy, who laughed at your pain, who believed lies about you, who abandoned you when you needed them, who chose convenience over integrity, who picked the wrong side because it seemed easier, look around. Look at your life right now. Look at what's crumbling. Look at what's collapsing. Look at what's falling apart in ways you can't explain, in ways you can't stop, in ways you can't reverse. That's not coincidence. That's not bad luck. That's not random chaos. That's cosmic justice. That's universal law. That's spiritual mathematics operating exactly as designed. You chose to side against someone walking in truth, and now truth has chosen to step away from you, and without truth protecting you, everything false in your life is being exposed, everything shallow is being drained, everything built on lies is being demolished. Meanwhile, the person you sided against, the one you laughed at, the one you abandoned, the one you betrayed, they're over there, glowing, thriving, ascending, surrounded by real ones. protected by forces you can't see, elevated by alignment you can't fake. And every time you check on them, every time you watch their story, every time you scroll past their success, it reminds you that you chose wrong, that you sided with destruction against creation, that you aligned with lies against truth, that you picked the losing side despite all your calculations. And that knowledge, that awareness, that realization is eating you alive, isn't it? Because you can't undo it. You can't take it back. You can't reverse the frequency you chose. You can't unalign from the destruction you sided with. Cosmic justice doesn't forget, doesn't forgive easily, doesn't offer second chances to those who knowingly chose wrong. It operates on a simple principle. You reap what you sow, you receive the frequency you emit, you experience the consequences of your choices. And you chose to side with someone's destroyer, chose to participate in someone's assassination, chose to laugh at someone's pain, chose to validate lies you knew were lies. And now, the universe is showing you what that choice costs, what that alignment attracts, what that frequency manifests. Your life falling apart isn't punishment from the person you betrayed. It's education from the universe you violated. It's consequence from cosmic law you ignored. It's justice from spiritual principles you thought you could escape. Oh, they're still waiting, aren't they? Still checking, still scrolling, still hoping to find you broken, desperate, crawling back with apologies written in the cracks of your voice. They expected the collapse. They planned for the meltdown. They bet their entire egos on watching you crumble, fragment, dissolve into the version of you they needed to see. The version that would prove they were right all along. The version that would validate every cruel assumption, every whispered judgment, every smirking prediction they made behind your back. But here's the thing, the beautiful, poetic, absolutely devastating thing. You didn't just refuse to break, you disappeared. And when you came back, when you resurfaced from that silence they thought was surrender, you weren't the same person. You weren't even recognizable. You became something they couldn't predict, couldn't categorize, couldn't dismiss. And now, they're stuck watching someone they thought they destroyed build an empire on the same ground they tried to bury you in. Let's be crystal clear about what happened here. They didn't just want you to fail, they needed it. They needed your failure like oxygen, like validation, like proof that their own emptiness was justified. Because here's what people don't talk about, here's what nobody wants to admit. The ones who hurt you, the ones who tried to humiliate you, the ones who spread lies and twisted your words and painted you as the villain in a story they wrote with invisible ink. They weren't just being cruel, they were projecting. Every single insult was a confession. Every criticism was a mirror they couldn't face. Every attempt to destroy you was actually them trying to kill the parts of themselves they saw in you, the potential they wasted, the integrity they never had, the courage they buried years ago under layers of compromise and cowardice. So they aimed their pain at you, wrapped it in judgment, delivered it with smiles, and waited for you to internalize it, to believe it, to become it. But you did something they never expected, something so quietly devastating it still keeps them awake at night. You vanished, not in defeat, not in shame, but in strategy. You pulled back. You stopped explaining. You stopped defending. You stopped showing up to arguments you never started. You stopped feeding the machine that ran on your reaction, your pain, your need to be understood. You went silent, not because you had nothing to say, but because you finally realized they weren't listening, they were performing. They didn't want dialogue, they wanted a show. They wanted the satisfaction of watching you beg for mercy, for approval, for one more chance to prove you were worthy of their presence. And when you didn't give them that, when you just faded into your own world and locked the door behind you, they panicked. Because silence from someone they thought they controlled is louder than any scream. Here's where it gets beautiful, ruthlessly beautiful. While they were busy celebrating your absence, while they were high-fiving each other and toasting to your downfall, while they were convinced they'd won. You were in the shadows doing something they couldn't comprehend. You were rebuilding. Not the old version of you, not the person who cared what they thought, not the soul that bent itself into shapes to fit their expectations, but something new, something sharper, something forged in the exact fire they tried to burn you with. You took every insult and turned it into fuel. You took every betrayal and turned it into wisdom. You took every moment they tried to make you feel small and used it to expand into something they could never diminish again. You weren't healing to go back. You were evolving to move forward. And the distance between who you were and who you became, that gap, that transformation, that is what haunts them now. They thought disappearing meant defeat. They thought silence meant surrender. They thought your absence was proof they were right. But then you reappeared. And the person who came back, that wasn't the person they broke. That was someone entirely different. Someone who moved differently. Someone who spoke differently. Someone whose energy didn't seek permission or validation or approval from anyone, least of all them. Your eyes didn't search for theirs anymore. Your voice didn't shake. Your presence didn't apologize for existing. You walked into rooms like you owned the air, not with arrogance, but with the quiet confidence of someone who survived something meant to kill them and came out reborn. And that transformation, that glow up, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that is the revenge they can't escape from. Because here's the truth they're choking on right now. You became everything they pretended to be. They talked about growth, you lived it. They posted about boundaries, you enforced them. They preached about self-love, you embodied it. While they were busy managing their image, curating their feed, performing their perfect life for strangers, you were actually doing the work, the hard work, the unsexy work. The work that doesn't get applause or likes or validation, but changes you at the cellular level. You faced your shadows. You acknowledged your wounds. You stopped running from the pain they caused and started walking through it, not around it, but through it, like fire through steel. And what came out the other side was unbreakable. They can see it. Everyone can see it. And the fact that you did it without them, without their input, without their approval, without needing them to witness it, that's the part that destroys them. Let's talk about what they expected. They expected you on your knees. They expected phone calls at 2 a.m., drunk texts full of apologies, desperate attempts to fix something that was never yours to fix. They expected you to chase them, to beg for another chance, to prove you were sorry for crimes you didn't commit. They wanted the power trip. They wanted to feel important, needed, irreplaceable. They wanted you to come crawling back so they could decide whether to forgive you, whether to take you back, whether to grant you the privilege of their presence again. That was the fantasy. That was the script they wrote in their heads. You were supposed to be the broken one. You were supposed to need them. You were supposed to prove that without them, you were nothing. But instead, you proved the opposite. You proved that without them, you were everything. And now they're trapped in the consequences of their own cruelty. They pushed you away, expecting you to fight to stay. They disrespected you, expecting you to tolerate it. They replaced you, expecting you to feel replaced. But you didn't fight. You didn't tolerate. You didn't feel replaced. You just left. And in that leaving, in that refusal to participate in their game, you took away the one thing they needed most. Your attention, your energy, your emotional investment. You cut the cord. You walked away. You chose yourself, and in doing so, you revealed something they can never unsee. You didn't need them. You never did. They were never the prize. They were the lesson. And lessons, once learned, don't need to be repeated. Now, let's get into the transformation itself, because this is where the story gets nuclear. You didn't just leave physically, you left mentally. You deleted their influence from your operating system. You uninstalled the voice in your head that sounded like their judgment. You stopped viewing yourself through their eyes and started seeing yourself through your own. You stopped measuring your worth by their standards and started defining it yourself. You stopped seeking closure from people who never gave you honesty and started giving closure to yourself. You forgave yourself for staying too long. You forgave yourself for believing their lies. You forgave yourself for thinking you could fix people who didn't want to be fixed. And in that forgiveness, you found freedom. The kind of freedom that doesn't need external validation. The kind of freedom that doesn't break when someone walks away. The kind of freedom that is so complete, so whole, so self-sustaining that it becomes magnetic. People started noticing. Of course they did. You can't hide transformation. It radiates. It leaks out of your pores. It changes the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you take up space in the world. Strangers started treating you differently. Opportunities started appearing. Doors that were closed started opening. Not because you were trying harder, but because you were vibrating at a frequency they couldn't access before. A frequency of self-respect, of boundaries, of knowing your value and refusing to negotiate it. And the best part, the part that makes this whole story perfect, the people who discarded you, the ones who thought you'd be stuck mourning them forever, they saw it too. They saw you winning. They saw you glowing. They saw you happy, genuinely happy, not the fake happiness people perform for social media, but the deep, unshakable happiness that comes from being aligned with who you really are. And it broke something in them, because they thought you needed them to be whole. They thought they were essential to your happiness. They thought without them, you'd be lost, stuck, unable to move forward. But you moved forward faster than they ever expected. You didn't just move on, you moved up. You leveled up in every area they tried to tear you down. Your mental health improved. Your confidence skyrocketed. Your goals became clearer. Your circle became smaller, but stronger. Your standards became non-negotiable. Your peace became your priority. And every step you took away from them was a step towards the life you actually deserved, not the life they convinced you to settle for. Meanwhile, they're stuck in the same patterns, stuck with the same toxicity, stuck repeating the same cycles with different people, because they never learned the lesson you became. They didn't grow, they didn't evolve, they didn't change. They just moved on to the next person they could project onto, the next target they could manipulate, the next soul they could try to dim so their own darkness wouldn't feel so suffocating. But here's the thing about people who operate like that. Eventually, everyone sees through them. Eventually, their mask slips. Eventually, the pattern becomes so obvious that even the people cheering them on start questioning. And when that happens, when their world starts crumbling the way they tried to crumble yours, they'll think of you. They'll remember the one who got away, the one who refused to stay broken, the one who turned pain into power and walked away without looking back. You know what the craziest part is? You're not even thinking about them anymore. That's the real victory. Not revenge, not proving them wrong, not showing them what they lost, but genuine indifference. You reached a point where they became irrelevant. Their opinions don't move you. Their presence doesn't affect you. Their attempts to re-enter your life don't tempt you. You close that chapter so completely that there's no space for a sequel. You're not angry. You're not bitter. You're not waiting for karma to handle them. You're just busy building a life so fulfilling, so aligned, so authentic, that they don't even register as a memory worth revisiting. That's the ultimate flex. Not caring. Not because you're pretending, but because you genuinely don't. Let's talk about the jealousy they're drowning in right now. Because it's real. It's suffocating them. Every time they see you thriving, every time they hear about your success, every time they catch a glimpse of your happiness, it eats at them. Not because they want you back, but because they can't stand that you're fine without them. They can't stand that you didn't fall apart. They can't stand that their absence didn't destroy you the way your absence is now haunting them. They thought they were irreplaceable. They thought they were the best thing that ever happened to you. They thought you'd spend years trying to find someone like them. But you didn't. You found yourself. And that version of you, the one who knows their worth, the one who won't settle, the one who demands respect, not with words, but with boundaries. That version is better than anything they could have offered you. They're watching you from a distance now, maybe through mutual friends, maybe through social media, maybe through stories they hear in passing. And every time they see you winning, it confirms what they're terrified to admit. They made a mistake. They lost someone real. They traded gold for dirt and convinced themselves they upgraded. But deep down, in the moments when they're alone with their thoughts, they know. They know you were the one who actually cared, the one who actually tried, the one who would have built an empire with them if they weren't so busy tearing you down to feel powerful. But they chose ego over connection. They chose pride over partnership. They chose cruelty over compassion. And now they're living with the consequences while you're living your best life. Here's what they didn't calculate. They thought breaking you would make them feel strong. They thought discarding you would prove they had options. They thought replacing you would show they didn't need you. But all it did was reveal their character. It showed everyone watching exactly who they were when nobody was looking. It exposed their lack of loyalty, their inability to value real connection, their addiction to shallow validation over deep substance. And while they were busy performing strength, you were actually becoming it. You didn't need to broadcast your healing. You didn't need to post about your growth. You didn't need to prove anything to anyone. You just quietly became the person they'll spend the rest of their lives trying to convince themselves they didn't need. The wildest part of this entire journey is that you stopped needing closure from them and gave it to yourself. You stopped waiting for apologies that would never come. You stopped hoping they'd realize what they lost. You stopped expecting them to suddenly develop empathy, accountability, emotional intelligence. You accepted that some people are permanently stuck in their brokenness, and trying to fix them is like trying to fill a cup with holes. So you stopped trying. You stopped pouring your energy into people who leaked it. You stopped investing in connections that didn't invest back. You became ruthlessly selective with your time, your attention, your love. And the people who stayed, the ones who earned their place in your life, they got the best version of you. The healed version. The whole version. The version that knows how to love without losing itself. You're different now, and everyone can feel it. There's a presence you carry that wasn't there before. An energy that doesn't seek approval. A confidence that doesn't announce itself but commands respect. You move through the world like someone who survived something brutal and came out the other side with wisdom instead of bitterness, strength instead of resentment, clarity instead of confusion. You don't explain yourself anymore. You don't justify your choices. You don't defend your boundaries. You just enforce them, quietly, firmly, unapologetically. And the people who can't respect that, they remove themselves. You don't even have to cut them off. They fall away naturally because your energy repels toxicity now. You've become immune to manipulation, allergic to disrespect, intolerant of anything that disturbs your peace. They wanted to see you beg, but instead you became a whole new person. Not because you wanted to prove them wrong, but because you wanted to prove yourself right. You wanted to prove that you could survive without them, that you could thrive without their validation, that you could build a life so beautiful, so fulfilling, so aligned with your truth that their absence would feel like a blessing instead of a loss. And you did it. You actually did it. You took the worst thing they ever did to you and turned it into the catalyst for your greatest transformation. You turned betrayal into boundaries. You turned heartbreak into healing. You turned their rejection into your redirection. And now you're on a path they can't even comprehend, living a life they'll never access, becoming a person they'll always regret losing. So let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them scroll through your life from behind screens they'll never admit they're checking. Let them ask mutual friends how you're doing while pretending they don't care. Let them see you happy with people who actually deserve you. Let them see you achieving goals they said you'd never reach. Let them see you becoming everything they swore you couldn't be without them. Because every milestone you hit, every level you reach, every version of yourself you evolve into, it's proof. Proof that you didn't need them. Proof that you're better off. Proof that walking away was the best decision you ever made. And that proof, that undeniable, visible, unavoidable proof is the closure you never got from them but gave to yourself. You thought you'd beg, but instead you built. You thought you'd break, but instead you became. You thought you'd chase, but instead you chose yourself. And now you're living proof that the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting better. It's becoming so completely, undeniably, magnificently yourself that the person who tried to destroy you becomes irrelevant. Not because you forced yourself to forget them, but because you genuinely outgrew them. You outgrew their toxicity. You outgrew their manipulation. You outgrew their limited vision of who you could be. And you stepped into the fullness of who you actually are. Someone they could never diminish, someone they could never define, someone they could never destroy no matter how hard they tried. This is your villain origin story, except you're not the villain. You're the survivor who refused to let survival be the end of the story. You're the one who took the pain and turned it into purpose. You're the one who took the betrayal and turned it into boundaries. You're the one who took the ending and turned it into a beginning. And now you're writing chapters they'll never be invited to read, living moments they'll never be invited to witness, becoming a person they'll spend the rest of their lives wishing they'd treated better when they had the chance. But they didn't, and you moved on. And that's the end of their story in your life, and the beginning of everything beautiful in yours. They expected tears but got a whole different person. Someone who doesn't cry over people who don't deserve the salt. Someone who doesn't beg for scraps when they're building feasts. Someone who doesn't settle for comfort zones when they're building kingdoms. You became the person they'll tell stories about. The one who got away. The one they couldn't break. The one they lost and could never replace. And while they're stuck in the past trying to recreate what you gave them with people who will never measure up, you're in the future creating a life so incredible that the past doesn't even feel real anymore. It feels like a bad dream you woke up from. And waking up, choosing yourself, walking away, that was the moment everything changed. So here's to you, the one who refused to stay broken, the one who chose healing over revenge, the one who built an empire on the same ground they tried to bury you in, the one who proved that the best way to move on isn't to forget, but to become so focused on your future that the past becomes irrelevant. You didn't just survive, you didn't just move on. You transformed, you evolved. You became living proof that the people who hurt you don't get to write the ending. You do. And your ending? It's not an ending at all. It's a beginning. The beginning of everything they said you'd never be. The beginning of a life they'll never access. The beginning of a version of you they'll spend forever regretting they destroyed. But that's their problem now, not yours. You're too busy being everything they wish they were to care about what they wish they'd done differently. And that right there, that is the ultimate victory. Not proving them wrong, just living so right that their wrongs don't even matter anymore. But we're not done yet, because there's more to this story that needs to be told. There's a layer beneath the transformation that nobody talks about. The part where you had to face yourself in the mirror and admit uncomfortable truths.